Hello everyone, I'm Julian and this is the Yankee M24 power supply. I got it off of Reverb used and it's very expensive. They run about $550. I had a Pedal Power 2 Plus, died on me. I sent it back to to Voodoo Labs. They fixed it for me, and once I was sure it was fixed, I sold it because I think I was just overworking it with all the pedals that I had. And this one will actually power the Effectro pedals that I have, which is nice. The manual is very sparse on it. It doesn't tell you much. So I wanted to do a video to show you how to hook this thing up correctly, because if you do it wrong, you can blow up your pedals. And let's take a look inside the box. It has a USB output, so they give you a light. Lots of cables. Some are daisy chain. These are just some extra patch cables I have tossed in here. So I'm working on my pedal board. This thing is heavy. It weighs about 6 pounds. We have a spot here where you can have your outlet. If you take that plate off, you can move it to this side. So you can have it on the back or on the top. You can adjust the voltage for your region. And lots of outputs here. Little display, I'll go over that in a minute as well. And here are two more on this side along with your USB. Now it has a little connector, a little wing here where you could mount it to a pedal board. There's one on each side. I haven't found really any use for that. Doesn't seem to work ergonomically with pedal boards like the pedal train. I'll show you how I have it mounted. It has some dual lock on the top because it's so heavy. I've been mounting it this way, and then a person before me, I believe, had it mounted directly on top of their pedal board, judging by how they had the Velcro. But if you do it that way, because it's so big, you're going to take up all the room on your pedal board. Let me go over the outlets on this so you understand what we're working with here. They're all labeled ISO, and then there's a number. So 1 and 2 are 9 volt DC, 400 milliamp. Then we have the USB right next to it. Now all down this side, we've got a whole bunch more 9 volt, 400 milliamp. So we have 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now ISOs 8 and 9, those are 600 milliamp. And you can adjust them from 9 to 12, 9 or 12 volts. And you do that by the switch here. Then we have number 10, that is AC. So 10, 11, and 12, you only use one output at a time for these. So 10 is all AC, that's 1300 milliamp. 11 has 2 ACs and then 1 DC that could be 9 or 12. And they're right next to each other, so you gotta be careful. You don't want to plug into the wrong one. And you adjust the voltage 9 or 12 volts with the switch there. 12 is the same as 11. Get this thing to focus. Come on, there it goes. 13 and 14 are 500 milliamp, 9 or 12 volts. And then we get down to here. These four, you can adjust them between 1 and 24 volts. And you do that by a little screwdriver to control the voltage by turning these little screws. And this display is on whenever the pedal power supply is on, and it will show you the voltages that are set for each one of these. I'll show you that when I get it hooked up and going. So let me go over and show you guys a couple pedals that I have, and I'm going to talk about the proper way to hook this thing up. Alright, so this is just a small board that I have, and it's got some pedals with very different power supply requirements. We have the turbo tuner there, there's a Boss DD500, your classic Vox wah, and these two at the top are Effectro pedals. So what you have to remember is this power supply is a 12 volt center negative. That is what it is outputting. So whenever you connect regular cables to this, the center is going to be negative. Now most pedals like the Boss DD500, the turbo tuner and the Vox wah, they are going to be center pin negative. So you won't have anything to worry about there. You'll just want to set the voltage to either, depending on your pedal. You'll probably want to do 9 volts because pretty much every basic guitar pedal is 9 volts. So you go ahead and you make sure that you're at 9 volts. You're in a DC and not an AC one. And lastly, you want to make sure that you have enough current for your pedal. So the Boss DD500, it says the power supply I think that comes with it is 500 milliamp, but I think the thing only draws a couple hundred. So I don't think you have to worry too much, because these outlets are putting out 400 milliamps at least, which is a lot more than what you get from pretty much any other power supply. There are some that can output a little more than 200 milliamps in 3, 4, 500, 600 range, but they might only be a couple outlets that are capable of doing that. But every one of the Yankee outlets in this power supply is at least 400 milliamps, so it will run this. And then we go up to this tube drive. This tube drive needs a lot of current, so that one's going to go into a 1300 milliamp slot. And if we look here on the top, it's 12 volt DC, and Phil at Effectrode puts this logo on his pedals to remind you that the center pin is positive. You can see the center dot, and then there's a plus sign going to it. And he puts the voltage, 12 volts DC. So we need to do something here, because if we connect a center pin negative to a center pin positive pedal, well, we're going to damage the relays inside, blow some fuses. It's going to cook the pedal. You don't want to do that. And what they make are these little reverse polarity cables. I'm going to run over here and grab one real quick that's still in the packaging. Alright, so this is a reverse polarity cable, and usually they have red on them to remind you of that. So this one has a red tip on it. So this will reverse the polarity from center negative to center positive, or vice versa. So by using the polarity reversing cable, which you can see I have going into this one, you can power these pedals like the Effectrode. So there's a lot of things you want to keep in mind. How much current does your pedal need? Is it center pin positive or center pin negative? Is it AC or DC? And how many volts is it? And you mind your outlets here, carefully get your switches where they should be for the proper voltage, and then plug them in. But one thing I don't like is how the AC and the DC outlets are just right next to each other. If you get that wrong, yeah, your pedal's toast, and you're gonna be upset. So just be very careful about how you plug it in. And I'm gonna flip this over and show you guys how you can mount this thing. Obviously, if it's sitting on top of your board, you're using up a lot of space where you could have some pedals. So I am going to show you how I mounted it underneath. So as you can see, it does fit in the slot in the rails between pedal boards. This is a Pedal Train Novo 24, and I used to have my Voodoo Labs mounted where you can see those two screws. They give those screw holes. They give you brackets, and it was up to there, and then on that rail there. But the brackets for the Yankee are just useless in terms of mounting it underneath. I really would like to see Yankee come up with a better bracket system so that this would mount easily in pedal boards without having to worry about Velcro, because this thing is heavy, and you're going to have to use the dual lock, and you're going to have to use a lot of it just to keep it from falling out under its own weight. Now on the back there, the Velcro raises it up just enough so that you can get the plug plugged into the back, just like so. So I'm going to go ahead and lock it down and turn it over and show you guys what it looks like from the other side. Alright, so that's how it looks if it's mounted underneath. I think it looks really cool because the display is coming through. You can see the logo. You got all that room, so you can cover that up with pedals if you want. So that would be the ideal way to do it. I'm going to put more dual lock on this part under, here, but unfortunately I will be covering up the writing that tells you what each outlet is for. So yeah, I'm going to take a picture of it so I know what the outlets are for before I do that. And I'll go ahead and plug it in and show you guys how it will power the tube drive and all these pedals. Alright, so there it is, powered up. See the voltages for those 4 extra outlets we talked about. We got the boss delay going. Tuner's on. Tubes are heating up on the tube drive. That's working. And the mercury is working as well. because we're using the polarity reversing cables. I have the red end, it's like a joint. So there is the red cable here, but it's running that way. And you can see how under its weight it came down again. So I need to put more Velcro here on this side. I'm going to show you something else pretty cool. When you turn off power supplies, they don't actually shut off right away. You know, the capacitors discharge. And something cool happens to this one when you shut it off. I just think that's cool. It's kind of nerdy part of me that enjoys watching that. So that is the Yankee. Cons: it's difficult to mount. It's easy to fry your pedals if you don't hook it up correctly. It's big, it's heavy. It's a great power supply though. I would hope that Yankee will provide some better manuals with it to inform people how to correctly hook up their pedals without frying them. And I also hope that they will work on a bracket system so that you don't have to worry about trying to mount this 5-6 pound thing under your pedal board. And as you can see, the dual lock is not really holding it. So we're going to have to work on that, put some more Velcro down. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this and hope you learned something.